After little Joe rode off into the sunset, Michael Landon's next project saw him as head of the Ingalls family in Little House on the Prairie. Purnell's next TV show, after Adam departed for waters unknown, was Trapper John M.D., where he is the father of 2 kids and like a father to his younger co-workers and friends. During the show's runtime, Bonanza saw each one of the Cartwright sons play father figure to more than one child and do it very well. Some that immediately jump out for me are Peggy and Jody for Adam, the Gallagher girls for Hoss, and Tommy and Paco for Joe. Heck, every time Ben gets around a child, we see the natural grandpa come out in him. So why do I bring this up? I have read that every time show creator David Dortort thought about marrying one of the sons off and letting him start a family, fans at the time were sending him outraged letters. With all that in mind, my first question for today is, did the Cartwright sons lose a very important opportunity for growth because of the fans? Are we the ones who took what could have been a beautiful storyline away from them? When I say we, I really mean some of you older folks, because I was nowhere near born yet when this was happening. Ha! Sorry, I know this isn't about moral high ground. I may have been the same way if the show had just come out when I started watching. Of course, I was 10, and who listens to a 10-year-old? I see a lot of posts now from people saying that they actually kind of wish at least one of the boys had gotten to marry and start a family. In hindsight, Purnell left anyway, so might as well have given it to him, I guess. The second question is, did female fans of the day overreact when deciding that their men had to stay single in order for them to fully enjoy the show? And the final question, what if the show had disregarded those complaints and went ahead with marrying at least one of them off for more than the length of an episode before killing the girl? If you know, you know. Hashtag justice for Alice. As for whether it was doing the boys a disservice in not allowing them a chance at fatherhood, I would say a big fat yes. I think it would have made the show even more immersive if in later seasons the boys would have become fathers and uncles to each other's children. There's even one episode where, when hearing that Hoss is thinking of getting married, Joe chuckles with glee that he's going to be an uncle. In the rare moment where Hoss shares a screen with Peggy after Adam starts dating Laura, she calls him Uncle Hoss and he takes her by the hand to show her his egg collection. I realize that all the hate mail at the time Adam's engagement to Laura was announced might have had more to do with the hatred of Laura than of him actually getting married. That being said, there was still a lot of dissent around the topic. That leads me into the second question. Did the fans overreact? Again, I would have to answer yes. I think it's obvious just by looking at celebrity crushes that the feeling doesn't change simply because the celebrity is married or a parent. A related example is that Mike Landon was married 3 times and had 9 kids, never losing a noticeable number of female fans in the process. I understand the argument that the fantasy of them being single and therefore the fan could pretend she was his girl is a semi-valid one. That being said, I think so long as the girl was right, fans would be able to live vicariously through those women. Again, look at Charles Ingalls. Lots of ladies wanted to be Caroline, but that didn't make them upset to have him happily married. Of course, you need the right choice. Being forced to see the wrong girl married to one of them week after week might have been a problem, and they each had plenty of love interests that don't quite fit. Perhaps, though, the writers would have put more into a woman if she was staying around. If she's a one-episode love interest, it's easier to pay less attention to her growth and likability. Again, not that they tried altogether hard with Laura Dayton, but someone else could have gotten more development. Finally, the third question. Let's just pretend that the show went ahead and married 1 or 2 or all 3 off at some point. Would the fans have suddenly boycotted the show? Perhaps a few would have, and even more would have made threats. Be that as it may have, I can hardly picture that many fans of this wildly successful 14-season show just making a mass exodus out the ratings window simply because they decided to extend the lives of the characters. Again, I will allow that the right girl matters, and we may never all agree on who that would have been. Again, though, if they had put work into developing someone because she was going to stay around, it might have worked out okay. Bonanza was an icon in its day, and even if some people stopped watching for a while, as some did when the post-Adam era began, some might have come back again after a little while just out of curiosity, and they may have even loved it once they tried it. Even if all of these arguments don't sway you, consider that the actors might have been happier for it, and happier actors make better performers. Giving them families would have given the actors even more to work with. Those moral questions that the show loved to tackle, especially in the later seasons, could have been done through them as fathers teaching their kids the way Pa taught them. There are 2 sequel movies made in the 80s that are all about the children of the Cartwright sons getting together for the first time and defending their family's land. Both are decent for the most part, and I do love the idea. I think they might have landed better if the kids had been introduced in the actual show first, and also there are problems with the synopsis of the show themselves, the way that they do the movies, but that's a different topic that I may cover in the future. Not the fault of those involved with the movies, they were just trying to explore this very issue. At the end of the day, none of these questions will ever be answered in anything but fanfic, but I would still love to hear what you think about the boys as fathers. Could you still watch if your man got married and started a family? Let me know in the comments. And happy Father's Day.